Welcome to another day of Smokin' with Joe. Today we're going to smoke some pork loin wrapped in bacon. But before we get going, make sure that you stick around to the very end because we're going to be giving you a discount coupon code for some great deals at bradleysmoker.com. You don't want to miss those. Okay, so to start, I've got 2 pork loins and a package of bacon. So what I'm going to do is very simple. I'll just take the pork loins out. I'm going to put them together thick to thin and vice versa, obviously, so that I have an even thickness of pork loin. And I'll just lay it down here on the wax paper that I've got spread out on the table here. So I'm going to take this package of bacon and I'm going to lay it out in front of the pork loin. What I want to do is put it out the full width. So start at this end and I stretch out the bacon, and the reason for that is I want to make sure that it stretches around the pork loin. Obviously you don't want to snap it. So I'm just going to lay them down side by side. I want to make sure that I have enough bacon to cover the area. One thing I should have mentioned was alternate the bacon. If there's a thick and a thin side, you want to alternate the direction in which you lay them so that you get a nice even square pattern by the time you're done. All right, so I've basically laid them out as evenly as I can. I'm going to take one of the pieces of bacon here and just rip it in half. I'm going to put that around the end of the pork loin. I'm going to cover it all up. And I'm going to lay one across the top to bottom now. So break it in half and just lift it up, tuck it under. The object is to make sure that I cover it all thoroughly. Okay. So any gaps, looks like I've got one here. I'll just lay that there. I'm going to use them all up, might as well. Yeah, right here's good too. There we go. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to pull the wax paper up. I'm just going to roll it over gently onto the bacon. Keep it squeezed together. And you're going to have to pull back the wax paper as you roll it because you don't want to get the wax paper rolled up in the pork loin. So keeping the pressure on it, holding it down, and pulling the wax paper back. And everything's working out just fine. Beautiful. Okay, there we go. Pull back. And make sure all the pieces of bacon are hanging off the front here. See if you can see it this way. So I've just been pulling back the wax paper, so I want to roll it a bit more. And you want to overlap the bacon, that's why I stretched it out. So I see my little pieces untucked here. That's easy to fix. Beautiful. Okay. So now what I'll do, so gently lift it up onto the rack using the wax paper. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to roll it over so that the seam side on the bottom is now on the top. And I've got a pair of scissors here, and I'm just going to cut. Now that the wax paper is open, I can just roll it over, again, very carefully. And just remove the wax paper. That way you're not tugging on it, trying to pull the wax paper off and pulling all the bacon out. So And the reason I want it on the bacon seam is so that as it heats up, it stays intact. So this is going to go right into the smoker just like this. This is going to be a very simple setup. I'm just going to put it in the smoker and smoke it for 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to use 4 alder biscuits. And I'm going to set the smoker without setting a temperature. So 1 hour and 20 minutes. Bingo. I'll be back in 1 hour and 20 minutes, and then I'm going to take it out, wrap it in aluminum foil. I'm just going to pop it back into the smoker, where I'm only going to turn on the heat. I'm going to turn this up to 320 degrees and set it for about 3 hours and walk away. But I am going to come back in about 1 hour and check and see where the internal temperature is, because I only want it to get to 145 and then it's cooked. Okay, so the pork loin made it up to the right temperature here. I'm just going to do one thing before I tuck it into the broiler, just to crisp up the bacon. I'm going to take the juice out of the aluminum foil and save it for a gravy. It makes a really nice smoke flavored gravy. Okay. Some of it did drip out a little bit, but that's why I use a double wrap of aluminum foil. It helps prevent a big mess. So as you can see, this turned out quite nicely. It's got a slight smoke color to the bacon, and I'm going to put it in the broiler just to crisp up the bacon very quickly. It's ready to go right now, but I like the bacon a little crispier. And you don't get that when you wrap it in the aluminum foil and put it in the smoker. But it does keep the moisture in with the meat, so I'd prefer that. So I'll just take a few minutes to crisp it up. But as promised, here's the discount coupon code for BradleySmokers.com. Make sure you go and check them out. I'm just going to make a quick gravy while I'm waiting. Just add a little bit of flour to about a tablespoon of butter, maybe a tablespoon and a half. There we go. Just mix it together till it's a nice caramel brown color. There's room for a little more flour in there. Yeah. All right, that's the perfect color. Now we'll just take the juice from the pork loin and pour it in. Stir it up. You can smell the hint of the smoke in there. It's quite lovely, actually. And I would say that's done. Okay, so I've got the pork loin out of the broiler, and I just gave it a little bit of a crisp on the top just to firm up the bacon a bit. Let's see how it tastes. Well, that looks delicious. So juicy, lovely light smoke flavor. This is spectacular. I'm going to enjoy dinner tonight.